Welcome back. As always, it is your host, your friend, your mate, Arachnid Soul, here today to talk to you about something a little bit different, a little bit sad. It is the passing of Ring of Honor's Jay Briscoe, one half of, in my opinion, the greatest tag team of the past 20 years for any company and certainly overall in the sport of professional wrestling. Jay Briscoe going all the way back to 2002, 2003, 2004, when I started watching Ring of Honor, along with younger brother Mark. Just amazing tag team matches. I almost think about how, like, a Tommy Dreamer was so loyal to ECW. That's what the Briscoes were to Ring of Honor. Unfortunately, the Briscoes never made it to mainstream wrestling. They did compete very early on in TNA. That was kind of the first time that anyone on a television stage or a pay-per-view stage back then would have been able to see them. But they never made it to the WWE. They never made it to All Elite Wrestling, even though in a way they kind of sort of did, but not really. These are the videos that I hate making, and I feel like I've been making a lot of them. I mean, we remember when Daphne passed away. We remember when Beautiful Bobby passed away. I made videos for both of them. What do you say about Jay Briscoe? What do you say about a guy who was extremely believable, extremely intense, and extremely focused? Not only a great tag team wrestler, but also a great singles wrestler. And you think about those great matches he had when he won the Ring of Honor World Championship, the series of 3 matches that he had over the course of a year, I believe, against Jay Lethal for that belt. Some of the greatest pro wrestling matches you would have seen around that time period. And Jay was a guy that, from what I can understand, and a lot of people are going to be able to speak more to his life and his family and everything in Sandy Fork. I don't tend to pay too much attention to what wrestlers are doing when they're not wrestling. So I can really only talk about Jay Briscoe, the wrestler. I can only talk about a guy whose matches were solid top to bottom. I mean, the work that this guy put in was insane. I mean, a 13-time Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion. And we talk about the past year and a half, and the rivalry that he had with the tag team known as FTR. Some people call them Top Guys. And that series of 3 matches that they had, that first singles match that they had at Supercard of Honor in Texas, they followed that up with a best of 3 falls match, and then the double dog collar match. Just a bloody mess. And there's debate every year in pro wrestling about which match was match of the year. It is rare that 2 sides, 2 teams, 2 wrestlers would be in the conversation for 3 separate encounters, the only 3 encounters that they had. And people are debating which one of these matches is the better match. I couldn't tell you. They were all great. They were all great at the time. They all made sense. They were all important. There was a lot of prestige. The work that everybody put into all of these matches was spectacular. If you've not seen these 3 matches, you're really letting yourself down as a pro wrestling fan. If you're a former pro wrestling fan, you're still letting yourself down not seeing these matches. From everything I've heard about Jay Briscoe in the back, a locker room leader, a guy who started very young. I believe he was maybe 19, and his younger brother and tag team partner Mark was maybe 17 when Ring of Honor started. I remember Mark was not even old enough to be in Ring of Honor at first. So at first, Jay was a singles wrestler. And I think about the first time that I remember seeing them. I went back and watched DVDs and saw older stuff from the very beginning of their career in Ring of Honor. But it's when Jim Cornette was managing them for that brief period of time, very brief period of time. But, I mean, imagine having Jim Cornette in your ear in the locker room, and then you realize why this tag team became such a great tag team. Not to give all the credit to Cornette, you got to give credit to their dad. Their dad, Big Papa Briscoe, who was not a pro wrestler, but was such a great father that on the farm that the Briscoes live on, grew up on, still lived on to this day in Sandy Fork, Delaware. The father knew that the sons wanted to be pro wrestlers, so the father actually trained them in professional wrestling and in amateur wrestling on a farm, just out in the grass, out in the dirt. And then these two guys made it to Ring of Honor. They made it to the independent scene, and like I said at the beginning of this video, became, in my opinion, the best tag team of the past 20 years. When you look at 2002 all the way up to 2023, I can't think of a better tag team. I cannot think of any better tag team that came down the pike in that period of time. Jay Briscoe, extremely well respected, not only by the other wrestlers in Ring of Honor, but basically everyone in pro wrestling. And Ring of Honor has some of the most smart, some of the most educated, knowledgeable, and intense fans that any wrestling company has ever had. In some respects, even more so than ECW, and that's saying a lot. And Jay had the respect of all of those fans. I understand that Jay Briscoe was so liked in his town that actually after his passing, they shut down parts of the town. They shut down, schools for a day. There was a Jay Briscoe Remembrance Day. It's a massive loss for pro wrestling. There's a lot of people that you see in sports and they die from things like drug overdoses and different things. Jay Briscoe, not even 40 years old, but close to 40 and in the best shape of his career, which is a testament to his workout ethic, the fact that you'd be in better shape near 40 than you were at 30, at 25, at 20, at 18. From all accounts, lived a pretty clean lifestyle, was in shape, great physique, great cardio, great mind for the sport of pro wrestling. He unfortunately died at the hands of a reckless driver. Jay was driving, possibly a dirt road, maybe paved, who knows, in Sandy Fork, but 2 lanes, and the woman in the other lane coming towards him crossed over into his lane. She was killed as well. Jay was killed. Jay had 2 daughters in the car. Reports are that he was taking them to cheerleading practice. One of them suffered severe back injuries from what I'm hearing. She has been in surgery. The other one is in critical condition, but both of his daughters are still alive. We hope that they make it. Our hearts go out to the family of Jay Briscoe. And when I think about Jay Briscoe, I think about all of those final battles. I think of the loyalty to Ring of Honor. When it was in vogue to jump other places, they didn't do it. Sure, they went over to Noah. They won the GHC tag belts. Sure, they popped over to TNA. They won those belts. They went different places, but Ring of Honor was really the home for these guys. And these guys were the glue of Ring of Honor. There were a lot of guys, you think about CM Punk, you think about AJ Styles, you think about Nigel McGuinness and Takeshi Morishima and a Homicide and Low-Key and Rocky Romero, Ricky Reyes. So many guys that Samoa Joe were mainstays in Ring of Honor but jumped around, went other places. The Briscoes stayed loyal. The fans respected them, the company respected them, and they respected the fans and the company. A very big loss. I could go on and on. I could talk about, God, so many matches that the Briscoes had in Ring of Honor over the years. If you're not subscribed to Ring of Honor Honor Club, it might be a good idea. You can go back and you can watch all of the great matches that they participated in. Again, I don't know what to say. I wanted to keep this thing short and sweet. The Briscoes, my favorite tag team in pro wrestling. It's a big loss. We wish the best for their friends and their family. We wish the best for Mark Briscoe, the younger brother of Jay, going forward. We understand that Jay's death happened either the day before or the day of, I believe the day before Mark Briscoe's birthday, so that's got to be extremely difficult. Jay Briscoe dead at a very young age, unfortunately, and played no role in it. Very sad loss for the family, the friends, very sad loss for fans like me who loved the Briscoe brothers, who always looked forward to them. Jay always came to the ring, looked serious, looked like he wanted to beat somebody's ass, looked like the last guy you'd want to get into a bar brawl with. And he's gone now. So again, best wishes to Mark, continuing on as a singles wrestler. Obviously, if he wants to take some time off, that makes a lot of sense. Two guys that went out on top with that double dog collar match. A lot of people said that that was the match of the year. 2 years into this decade, some people are saying so far it's the match of the decade. Jay Briscoe no longer with us. Arachnid Soul, not happy to report it, but reporting it because it's accurate and it happened, unfortunately. And I will catch you next time.